Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're pushing onward through Oliver's album, A Night on the Earth, and honestly, we're still kind of reeling from where track 4 left us.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 million miles. That was, well, it was the bottom, wasn't it? Total isolation.
Felt like it. That heavy, almost trudging 68 blues time signature.
That slow lament feel.
It just painted this picture of utter defeat. The narrator, 3 million miles east of nothing, basically questioning if there's any point in even trying to say anything anymore.
Exactly. It was pure resignation. The end of the line, emotionally speaking. All that striving from earlier tracks just gone.
Which is why track 5, Song for You, feels like such a sudden, almost unexpected turn.
It really does, because the first thing you notice, even just looking at the track list, is that it's labeled a piano duet.
Right. From total solitude to a duet. That structure itself immediately signals something different is happening here.
It's a move away from that desolate isolation. A duet implies shared space, shared emotion, maybe even shared blame, or at least shared experience. It's a direct answer to the emptiness of track 4.
And we know this wasn't just how the song happened to be. This was a conscious choice Oliver made during production.
That's key context. This song, Song for You, actually started life much earlier, back in 1995.
As a solo piece, right?
Exactly, a solo song about, one-sided loss. But when Oliver was putting the album together in 2025, he looked at this older song and felt that making it a duet was, and this is his quote, the perfect way to convey the feelings needed at this specific point in the album's narrative arc.
So he intentionally repurposed it. He took that old lament and transformed it.
He did. And the result, as the sources describe it, is this beautiful and sad song about a mutual breakup. It's not just one person's pain anymore.
That changes everything.
It really does. And, just to add a layer of how personal this track feels, Oliver's mentioned it's his daughter Marina's favorite song on the whole album.
Wow, okay. That definitely adds weight. It suggests it resonates on a really fundamental emotional level.
It does. And the sound of the track reinforces that intimacy after the heavy, layered blues rock of 3 million miles.
This one is incredibly stripped down.
Totally. It's basically piano and vocals. There's some percussion, a bit of bass maybe, but they're way in the background, just sort of holding things together gently.
It puts all the focus right on the voices and the lyrics. There's nowhere to hide emotionally.
Precisely. It's vulnerable, exposed, the complete opposite of the emotional armor we heard building up before.
Okay, so let's dig into this. To really get the impact of the 2025 duet, we probably need to understand where it came from. Let's start with that original 1995 foundation, the solo lament.
Good idea. So if we strip away the duet for a moment and just read the lyrics as they were likely intended back then, it's a classic message to a lost love.
Someone who's already gone.
Definitely. The departure feels final in the original context, and the singer is left trying to communicate the depth of their feelings, maybe for the last time.
It kicks off with that really direct appeal, doesn't it? If you look into my eyes, you can see all the love I feel for you.
It's almost a challenge. Look at me, see the truth of what you're leaving or what you've left. It's demanding acknowledgement of the emotion that's still raw and present.
And it immediately connects that love to a shared past, specifically through the narrator's own creative work.
Yes, all those things that we've been through and all the songs I wrote for you. That's a recurring theme for Oliver's narrator persona, isn't it? Love expressed through songwriting.
It makes the songs themselves part of the relationship's fabric, proof of devotion.
Exactly. So losing the relationship also means questioning the value or meaning of that creative output. It makes the loss cut deeper for this particular narrator.
But even as the singer's invoking this past devotion, they're forced to confront the present reality. It's not ambiguous.
Not at all. The lines are stark. But these days are over now. You packed your suitcase and said goodbye.
That image, the packed suitcase, it's so concrete, so final.
It really is. There's no maybe, no waiting like in some earlier tracks. The physical act of leaving has happened. It's done. This isn't a warning. It's a report of fact.
And accepting that fact, that external reality, throws the singer into that classic internal conflict.
The heart versus the mind. It's summed up perfectly. Because in my mind, I know it's over, but my heart is still crying for you.
It's a familiar trope in breakup songs, but here, within the album's journey, it feels significant.
It does because it echoes, but also contrasts with, say, track 1, Yes, I Know.
How so?
Well, in Yes, I Know, the conflict was about knowing the truth. Yes, I know that you're gone. but still feeling the pain, almost as an external imposition. The pain keeps going on because of what the other person did.
Okay, I see. The knowledge didn't stop the externally inflicted pain.
Right. But here, in the original solo context of Song for You, the conflict feels more internal. The mind knows it's over, implying perhaps a rational acceptance, maybe even a rational decision that it has to be over. But the emotion, the heart, hasn't caught up. It refuses to accept the rational conclusion.
So the pain isn't just a reaction to being left, it's also the pain of the singer's own internal division, trying to reconcile their logical understanding with their persistent feelings.
Exactly. It's a more mature kind of struggle, perhaps. It's not just, you hurt me. It's, my own heart won't align with what my mind knows is true or necessary. It's a grief tied to necessity, maybe, not just loss.
That's a really important distinction. The original solo version sets up this very personal internal battle.
Yes. Powerful, sad, but ultimately solitary. The singer sends this message out, assuming the other person is gone, moved on, maybe doesn't feel the same way at all.
Okay. So now let's bring in the 2025 production. Oliver decides this needs to be a duet. How does that fundamentally change the game? This brings us to section 2, the transformation and that idea of mutual uncertainty.
It changes everything. The structure itself tells the story. You have the woman singing the first verse, laying out her perspective. Then the man sings the second, his view. They trade lines in the bridge, and crucially, they sing the chorus together.
So it's not just his story or her story anymore.
No, it immediately becomes their story. As the source material puts it, it's now about a mutual end of the relationship. The dynamic shifts completely from a one-sided lament to a shared predicament.
And that predicament is defined by a really specific, painful kind of uncertainty.
Yes. This is the core of the transformed meaning. Both lovers still have feelings for the other person, but don't know if the other person feels the same.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's rough.
It's incredibly rough because the tragedy shifts. It's no longer about abandonment or one person falling out of love. It becomes a tragedy of miscommunication or maybe non-communication.
A tragedy of assumptions.
Precisely. Think about the conflicts earlier in the album. Track 1, it was live, deception. Track 2, maybe indifference, being ignored. Track 4, just sheer distance and hopelessness. But track 5, in its duet form, introduces something new. This paralysis caused by assuming you know what the other person feels, even when you might be wrong.
So the pain isn't coming from a lack of love, but from the belief that the love isn't reciprocated, even if it actually is.
Exactly. They're separating potentially not because the love died, but because they each think it died in the other person. They're both standing there heartbroken, assuming the other one is the reason it has to end.
And we, the listeners, hearing both sides through the duet, we're in on the secret. We know they potentially both still feel it.
Which makes it devastatingly ironic. Take that line about hope. And I still hope that we have a future if you only felt this way too.
In the solo version, that's just the singer's desperate wish.
Right. But in the duet, when both voices express that sentiment, or when one sings it to the other who might feel the same, it's crushing. He's hoping she feels it, she's hoping he feels it, but they're both trapped by the assumption that the other doesn't.
Because the external actions, the packed suitcase, the goodbye, seem to contradict that hope.
Exactly. The actions scream finality, so they trust the actions over the possibility of shared unspoken feeling. It becomes this closed loop of sorrow where the separation feels inevitable because they can't bridge that gap of uncertainty.
Which makes the next lines almost unbearable in the duet context. But you don't feel this way, and I can't make you come back to me.
Think about that. If both singers are singing that line or thinking it about the other person while secretly not believing it about themselves, the whole breakup is built on a catastrophic mutual misunderstanding.
It's not fate. It's a failure to connect. A failure to be vulnerable enough to check that assumption.
Yes. It reframes the whole act of leaving. That packed suitcase isn't necessarily the act of someone who stopped caring. It might be the painful, rational decision of one person who believes the relationship is unworkable, maybe for external reasons, or because they think the other person wants out, and the other person sadly goes along with it, assuming the same thing.
So the love might still be there,
Yeah.
but it's deemed impossible, unviable.
Exactly. Maybe circumstances have pulled them apart. Maybe they've hurt each other too much. Or maybe it's purely down to this inability to confirm that the feeling persists on both sides. They choose the rational, painful end over the potentially risky, emotionally complex continuation.
That kind of shared, acknowledged, but unviable love. that feels like a very specific, very adult kind of heartbreak. It gives the album a different layer after the raw pain of track 4.
It really does. It's a moment of shared vulnerability, even if it's based on flawed assumptions. It allows for more complex grief. The question isn't just, why did this happen to me? It becomes, why couldn't we make this work, even with what we felt? That's a much harder question to answer.
And the music absolutely supports this. That stark piano, those exposed vocals.
There's no hiding. The sparseness forces you to confront the emotional core, the interplay between the two voices, the shared lines, the individual verses. The quiet percussion and bass just provide this gentle, almost mournful pulse underneath. It's the sound of stasis, really, trapped in that moment.
So, okay, they're trapped in this mutual, painful understanding or misunderstanding. The goodbye has happened, the suitcase is packed, the end is real, even if the reasons are tragic. What's left? This takes us to section 3, the act of writing as the final link.
Right. If the outcome can't be changed, if they can't make you come back, then what purpose does the song serve? The lyrics tell us. All I can do is write this song to show you how I feel.
So the song itself becomes the last act, the final communication.
Exactly. It's not a tool for reconciliation anymore. It arrives too late for that. It's more like a testament, a document.
An impotent gesture, as the outline suggested.
Impotent in changing the outcome, yes, but potent in another way. Truth. The singer insists, I want you to know that every word is true.
And in the duet context, that sincerity is shared. Both voices are claiming this truthfulness.
Which is hugely significant given the album's earlier obsession with lies and deception, especially back in track 1. Remember all the lies I heard you say.
Right. So here, amidst the sadness and the failure of the relationship, there's this insistence on mutual honesty about the feelings involved.
Yes. The song becomes a way to correct the record, perhaps, to say, whatever else happened, whatever went wrong, the love we're singing about here, that part was real. That part is true, even if it couldn't survive.
So the purpose shifts. It's not about recovery. It's about legacy, ensuring the emotional truth of the relationship is preserved.
I think that's a great way to put it. It provides a kind of closure based on shared emotional honesty, even if the practical closure is just separation.
And that chorus, repeated by both voices, just drives home the ongoing, shared struggle.
'Cause in my mind, I know it's over, but my heart is still crying for you. Hearing that conflict echoed, sung together, it amplifies it. It's not just one person's internal war now. It's the collective weight of two people stuck in the same painful paradox.
The rational decision versus the relentless emotional reality. The piano underneath just underscores that constant quiet ache.
It's the sound of shared heartbreak, where the mind has surrendered, but the heart refuses to.
And the song ends by just repeating that dedication, doesn't it?
Yeah, simply. So I wrote this song for you. I wrote this song for you, like sealing the document. This is it. This is the final word dedicated to what was and what tragically couldn't be.
It's a monument, like you said. An intimate monument to a love that was real, but ultimately unsustainable, perhaps due to that very lack of certainty about each other.
Absolutely. Song for You, in its duet form, becomes this incredibly important pivot point for the album. It takes the despair of 3 million miles and channels it into something structured, shared, and truthful, even in its sadness.
It allows for a processing of grief that isn't just about betrayal or abandonment, but about this more complex, mutual fragility. It feels like a necessary step before the narrator can move on, whatever moving on looks like on this album.
It matures the narrative. It acknowledges that sometimes relationships end not with a bang or a betrayal, but with this quiet, shared resignation, full of unspoken what-ifs.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener, reflecting on this track. The real sting of Song for You seems to come from that combination. The absolute certainty that it's over, my mind I know it's over, coupled with the nagging uncertainty about the other person's true feelings, if you only felt this way too.
So the question becomes, when a relationship ends, not because a love disappears, but because circumstances or rational decisions or perhaps fatal assumptions make it impossible, is that sadness somehow deeper, more resonant than a clean break where the feelings genuinely died?
Does knowing that the love was there, maybe is still there on both sides, but it just couldn't survive? Does that create a unique kind of enduring heartache, that ghost of shared potential?
That feeling of an unnecessary tragedy, driven by miscommunication or fear, rather than a simple lack of love. It's something that can haunt you, perhaps more than straightforward rejection.
Definitely something to think about. Because this moment of shared tragic intimacy, it can't last. The album has to keep moving, and the next track signals Another significant shift.
Yes, after this quiet, vulnerable duet, we're heading into track 6, which is titled You Lost My Love.
Okay, the title alone feels like a whiplash turn.
Yeah.
You lost my love? That
Hmm.
sounds definitive. Accusatory, even.
It does, and musically, it's listed as a rock ballad, so we're moving away from the stripped-down piano and back towards something with more power, more volume.
Maybe more anger, more assertion.
That's the big question for our next deep dive. After this moment of shared vulnerability and sadness in Song for You, where does the narrator go? Does You Lost My Love represent a processing of that grief into a statement of final independence?
Or is it a step backward, maybe? A return to the blame and resentment we heard earlier in the album, like in Yes I Know or Now I Know. Trading that complex shared pain for a simpler, more aggressive stance.
Has the narrator moved past the mutual sorrow into a final declaration, or are they just putting the walls back up?
It sounds like we're leaving the shared space of the duet and entering a much more confrontational phase. We'll unpack that rock ballad and its implications next time.
We hope you'll join us as we continue to explore A Night on the Earth.
Until then, keep digging.